purificati per tutta la vita. E questo soprattutto del me, cuore me le puristi cuore, questi seggiano, democraticamente. Che ti puoi portarti a te, purificati per tutta la Sperendere come fatto con tutto colpito e salutare tutto spentesimo.
Gloria Patri e Figlio e Spirito Santo.
Sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper in saecula saeculorum.
Intra vivo ad Adonai.
A te purificat celente.
Adiutorium nostrum in nomine Domini.
Et feci cielo in terra.
Vita Deo Onnipotenti Maria Santa Vicina Deo Domini Cancelo Via Sanctis Apostolis Petro et Paolo Sanctis Sanctis Via Divinis Meditazione Mea Buddha Mea Nostra Buddha Mea Maria Santa Vicina Via Michaela Cancelo Via Giovanni Battista Santos Apostolos Petro et Paolo Omnes Santos Illustratres Averetur Mea Domini Nostrum
Miserere per me, se Christus Padre
Amen.
Tot precedere potenti, beato per sempre Virgine, beato per Francesco, beato Battista. Sanctis Apostolus Petro et Paolo, Sanctis Padre. Qui et peccavi visitazione verbo et opere, pulpone noctem. Ed Deo per beata Maria Santa Virgine, beato in te beato Battista. Sanctus Apostolus Petro, omnes sanctus orare pro mea Domini.
Misericordia Dei Onnipotens Deus, limites peccatis Christi, separat vos vita indulgentia solutionem maxima libera nostrum. Dio nobis omnipotens et misericordiae
Amen.
Deus bonus glorificavis nos.
Et l'exaltare Dei
Ostende nobis et Domini misericordiam.
exaltare Dei nobis,
Domini salvi nationem mea.
et paramus arte Dei
Dominus vobiscum.
et plus spiritu.
Oremus. Citationes et pacis et voluntas eis, invocavitis mei et egois audientos et reducam captivitatem vestra decumatis et docis. Benedictis Domine tarantum et baptisti captivitatem Iacob. Gloria Patri et Filii et Spiritui Sanctus, in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. Dicit Dominus cogitationes pacis, et non afflictiones invocavitis mei et egois audientos reducam captivitatem vestra decumatis et docis. Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison.
Christe eleison.
Christe eleison.
Christe eleison.
Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison.
Kyrie eleison. Gloria in excelsis Deo et temporibus animus gloriamus. Alamus Dei benedicimus Dei. Alamus Dei glorificamus Dei gratias, sanctionis Dei proclamanem gloria Dei. Domine Deus et excelsis Deus omnipotens et Domine Filius et Christus. Domine Deus Agnus Dei Filius Patris et Dominus Spiritus Misericors. Et Dominus Spiritus suscita perpetuationem nostrum stessa destra Patris. Miserere nobis et corruptus suus sanctus suos oremus. Suus Altissimus Iesu Christi cum Sancto Spiritu. In gloria Dei Patris. Amen. Dominus vobiscum.
Et plus spiritu Deo.
Oremus. Questa verbo Deus Deus et salvar gratia vita medicamentis. Utilis et placita dictis et sequamur factis parola nostrum Iesu Christo Filio tuo, qui tecum vivit et regnat in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus et omnia saecula saeculorum. Oremus. Glorum in cora Filii de Deus miserator illustre, beata Elisabetta precibus gloriosis, fac nos prospera mundi desuce, et recevisti semper consolatione gaudeum. Crescentum pastor eterna. placatus intende, che determinato un porzione, un baltico in cui la persona pontificia in perpetua protezione custodica, Ortozius Ecclesia Restitutis e Pastore, Parlamento nostro Gesù, Forte Cui Vitae et Unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus, et Secula Seculorum. Amen. Exiore Epistoli Beati Pauli Apostoli ad Thessalonicenses. Fratres et gratias ascemus a Deus semper pro omnibus vobis, memoriam Destri. Infacientes. In orationibus nostris, sine intermissione, memores autoris fidei vestre, et laboris et caritatis et sustinensis Pei Domini nostri Iesu Christi, ante Deo del Padre nostro, dicientes fratres et dilectia Deo elexenem vestram, cui Evangelium nostrum non fuit ad vos in sermone tantum, sed in virtute et in Spiritus Sancto, et in plenitude in multas sicut decitis, quales fuerimus in vobis propter nos, et vos imitatores nostri facti estis, et Domini excipientes verbum in tribulatione multa cum gaudio Spiritus Sancti, in todo factis itis forma omnibus credentibus in Macedonia et in Achaia, a vobis indifamatus est sermo Domini non solo in Macedonia et in Achaia, sed in omni loco fides vestra, quae est ad Deum profeta est, et apud non sit nobis necesse qui quandam ipsiem de nobis annunciant qualem in provitam voimus a vos, et commulo conversiestis a Deum de simulacris, servire Deo vivo et vero, et spectare Filii eius de celis, quem suscitavit ex mortuis Iesu, qui riput nos avidamento.
Deo gratias.
Liberasti nos a Domine, ex afflicentibus nos, et Deus quando sovero tu confudisti. Deo laura venuto totali, et in nomine tuo confitevo in secula, alleluia, alleluia, e profundis clamavi ad te nostra, in excelli nazione. Amen. Alien paragonam locutus estes, simile est renunciorum et fermento pod acetum oleo, abscondit in farine satis et trius donic fermentatum est totum, et cum locutus est Iesus in parabolis actuas, et sine parabolis in loco matureis, ut impedector virtute per profetam dicente, aperiem in parabolis osmium ertamo abscondita constitutionem mundi.
Laus Divitiste.
We celebrate today the 24th Sunday after Pentecost. This Sunday's text of the Mass is taken from the 6th Sunday of Epiphany. Next week, on Sunday, we are going to start practicing with the choir for Christmas. And if any one of you is interested in joining the choir, please contact Sister Maria Teresa. It's important, all the chapels, they have their own choirs, and unfortunately we could not still have ours, at least in a consistent way. But we keep working on that, and we count in your help. Also, please note that the Holy Mass on Thanksgiving Day will be said at 9 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. And then also, thanks God, we have installed a week ago, last week, the altar, the stained glasses in the church in Mount Vernon. We don't have pictures, but next week you will have them to see. They are very, very nice, even nicer than we expected. And we thank you all who participated on this fundraising for this project. Finally, there is also, we started a novena, 30 days called 30 Days Novena to St. Joseph, which is well known to be very efficient to obtain special graces for the great St. Joseph. And we started yesterday. There is some copies in the vestibules if you want to participate, if you want to join us. It's a special invitation, an important one for our chapel. Please stand for today's Holy Gospel, which is taken from St. Matthew, the 13th chapter, St. Matthew. At that time, Jesus spoke to the multitude this parable. The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which is the least indeed of all seed. But when it is grown up, it is greater than all herbs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and dwell in the branches thereof. Another parable he spoke to them, the kingdom of heaven is like to leaven, which the woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, until the whole was leavened. All these things Jesus spoke in parables to the multitudes, and without parable he did not speak to them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things hidden from the foundation of the world. That's for the words of today's Holy Gospel. Please be seated. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, amen. The parable of today's Gospel refers, as you know, to the growth of the Catholic Church. A church that started very small, like a mustard seed in the beginning, but became very great. Our Lord sent out 12 uneducated men to the whole world, and when we think of the size of such a mission, both the geographically point of view and the importance of this task, the importance of this mission, really, on the human point of view, 12 men were incapable of anything. But the church became very great, and you can study all the factors, the event, the circumstances of the growth and spreading of the faith around the world. But all comes to one single reason. Why the church grew so fast in his history? It is because of the assistance of God. Humanly speaking, it was impossible. But the reason why it grew and multiplied and converted all the world, it is because that special assistance of God, the Holy Ghost. So the church, it is a human institution composed by human beings. It is true, but human beings that have that special assistance from God. And it is due to that assistance that the church grew and propagated, in spite of all the attacks, terrible attacks throughout its history. It's still there, and we know it always will be there, as it was founded by Christ our Lord. Now, more in details, there are some reasons that explain the success of the church in the world. And the first reason is because she possesses the truth, because she possesses the supernatural truth. And if you think about, we human beings, men, we are made for the truth. Our intellect wants to know the truth. It is made for the truth. That's why people want to know for sure what is the truth. That's why people listen to the news, for example. Or they are always inquiring naturally to find out about the truth. In particular, about the supernatural truth. And this is normal, this is natural, because our intellect is made for it. It's like a ring which is made for the finger. And once we find the truth, we are happy. It may take a long process. Our mind wanders sometimes. There are certain things that are difficult to understand. But once we find the truth, we are happy. Especially important truths in life. Because we are made for it. And so when people see the truth, they naturally adhere to it. Unless they posit some voluntary obstacle, whether it is the love of money, or the love of lust, or the love of power, or it may simply be attachment to one's own judgment, the pride of life, to be big-headed. Those are voluntary obstacles, and it is only then when we recognize that something is true that these people, they refuse to accept it. Because truth always requires commitment, submission, humility, and all these things they still refuse to embrace. That's why many people reject the truth, because truth always implies commitment. It's like if you look at a beautiful scenery, if you go to the mountains, for example, or a beautiful lake, or you walk into a beautiful cathedral, if you like the beautiful things, you cannot help but say, this is a beautiful thing. So those who search the truth, so those who love the truth, once they find it, they love it, they accept it. Unless there is an obstacle that prevents them to do so. And remember that our Lord says, those who are of the truth, they hear my voice. And so this is what the Catholic Church has been doing for 2,000 years. Preaching the supernatural truth. And it's a beautiful thing. is something that we cannot refuse if we have a good intention, if we have no obstacle, prejudices, if we really search and love the truth, we see that and we accept it. This is what the world, the pagan world, the most savage world, people in history have accepted the truth of the church. The second reason why the church spread so quickly was because of her sanctity. It is a holy institution. And that sanctity, when you study the church, when you examine the Catholic faith, that sanctity becomes evident. Where do we find the sanctity in the church? Where? Well, you have to go to the catechism to study your faith. The sanctity, it is shown in her doctrine, in her worship, in her discipline. Nothing that is approved or taught or promoted by the Catholic Church can contain any error or evil, because it comes from God. It comes from that special assistance to lead souls to heaven. If you find something that is against natural law or against the divine law in what the church preaches, doctrine, morals, dogma, in what the church promotes as a worship, the worship is the worship to the true God, the ceremonies, in her discipline, all that reflects the sanctity of God. The sanctity of God, her founder, the sanctity of the church, this continuation of Christ throughout history. And so non-Catholics, or those who left the Catholic Church, criticize the church for the sins of the clergy. Very often it's out of ignorance. When somebody who becomes a Protestant, I left the Catholic Church because they worship, they adore statues. Say, no, that's ignorant. I don't know the Catholic Church that worship the statues. You don't know the Catholic Church. I wonder how many of you read the Catechism every Sunday. It's important. Sister type it and I read it before printing. And you always learn something. Many left the Catholic Church just out of ignorance. Many accepted this novelty in the Catholic Church just out of ignorance, because they don't know God. They don't know their faith, the beauty of the Catholic faith. And so many criticize the church for the sins of the clergy, for example, the scandals of her members. That is why they say it cannot be a true church. But in reality, this is false. This is an excuse not to accept the Catholic faith. Because those scandalous people, those clergy that are scandalous, and yes, cause a lot of hurt to the church, prove that the church, it does not prove that the church is false, but rather it proves that those scandalous members do not follow the teaching of the Catholic Church. Those scandalous members do not embrace or practice the book of rules that are taught by the Catholic Church. And the rules of the doctrine, the liturgy, the disciplines, and the sanctity in these matters can be only found in the Catholic Church and not in any other religion. They cannot have a holiness. You may find some truth here and there. Maybe it does not prove the holiness of the religion. Only the Catholic Church is holy, and you find this entirely in the Catholic Church. Because there is only one God, there's only one saving church. Again, if you follow the precept of the church, you will become a saint and go to heaven. Because it is impossible to find anything wrong, anything evil in the Catholic Church. Anything that is contrary to moral law or the divine law. Only the Catholic Church, therefore, produces true saints. The third reason for the spread of the Catholic Church is the unity and universality of the Catholic religion. And these are two qualities of the truth, unity and universality. A horse is the same thing here in Australia and in Argentina. And a horse is a horse today just as it was 1,000 years ago. But one of the characteristics of truth is unity and universality. It does not change, and it's always the same. And this is what you find only in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church for 2,000 years has always taught the truth, unchanging truth received from God, because it's always consistent in this, because of that special assistance from God. She maintained that unity and universality at all times. And this cannot be done without the assistance of God, because we know men, human beings, owing to the original sin, fall very easily into evil, into error, and defect from the truth so easily. It cannot be purely a human institution. Humanly speaking, we are prone to embrace errors and evils, and therefore, if we don't have that assistant, if the church doesn't have that assistant, it could err easily and change her truth. And this is one of the reasons why the Novus Ordo Church, the Novus Ordo religion, that religion that was promulgated by the Council Vatican II, is not the Catholic religion, because it preaches a different truth, because it preaches contradiction, because it denies what it was promulgated before. It condones even evil or practices that lead to apostasy or embrace false religion. Just an example is of this celebration of the 500th anniversary of the Protestant revolt. It is impossible that the church could condone something that was forbidden or condemned in the past, because we believe that came from God. So now realize that we have the same religion, and in the Novus Ordo there is this change of the truth. There is this evolution, and there is not more unity of the same truth. People tend to believe freely about important things, abortions, for example, about contraception, about other moral issues, divorce, remarriage. I wonder how many believe still in hell or in the Blessed Eucharist, the real presence of Christ. Not even the priest believe anymore. Just an example that came to my mind: when we used to be little, my parents used to take us to church, and we were told that the Mass, it was the Calvary, it was our Lord dying on the cross. And my father used to say, how can these people believe when they go to church to dance and to play guitars, when they know, or they are supposed to know, that there is Christ dying on the cross? And you see the abuses that they have in the liturgy. That proves these people don't believe anymore in what the church always taught and practiced. They have not that unity and universality that we always see in the Catholic Church. No sort of religion has destroyed that unity. And it's become a false religion of men, a religion that is more Protestant than Catholic. The fourth reason why the Catholic Church has spread so greatly is the witness of her martyrs. In fact, that Catholics have always considered their faith above everything else, and more important even than their own life. We see that in the example of martyrs of the first centuries in the church. They shed their blood for their faith. They understood the necessity of not compromising their faith, the importance of their faith in their life. Because without the faith, there is no salvation. So they gave testimony to that faith with their own blood, with their own example, just like Christ and the apostles did. And that was which really touched the heart of many people and embraced the Catholic faith. The good example of Catholics. The good example of Catholic. It is what we are lacking in today's crisis. The true people who live up to the Catholic standard, who are not ashamed to offer a sacrifice, maybe to give testimony to their faith. And we know that the faith is a grace of God, it's a gift. And just as in the past, many nations received that gift, embraced that law that came from God, from the church, became Christian, received baptism. So now we see all the culture. We have this general apostasy. Nations, entire countries turning their back to God and to the true faith, the true religion. And this happening also in the Catholic Church. This happened also, many of the clergy in the Catholic Church, many people, faithful, have turned their back to the truth, and they have abandoned themselves to worldliness and false belief. And this is happening because of the sins of mankind. This is truly the hour of darkness as far as faith, observance of the truth, embracing adherence to the truth is concerned, because God abandoned us in a certain sense, and therefore we are plunged into this apostasy, almost without hope. And if we open our eyes, we can see clearly the signs for the future punishment that will come from God, because God is justice, and He punishes errors and evil. And like He did in the Old and the New Testament, this will be a big punishment that will come, because God is justice. We are among the few drawn by the grace of God to the knowledge of the true faith, resisting this general apostasy. Let us be strong against the world and be resolved to give up everything necessary to preserve this grace. Pray for the perseverance until the end. Pray for your children and your grandchildren. And this is certainly will require a sacrifice, will require generosity. Yes, it is difficult to be a good Catholic today, to persevere, to be like a mustard seed, a little mustard seed in the middle of this pagan world. But with the grace of God we have received, it is possible. All in your little faith. The same God who founded the church, it is the same God who assisted the church. It is the same God who promised us to be with us all days until the consummation of the world. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, amen.
Credo in Dio del Padre Onnipotente, fatto concedere di Signore, di Spirito, di Gesù Cristo, Figlio dei cieli, ed espadrinato con Dio di essere sostanzialmente perché non è fatto solo di propria nozione e volta la nostra salute e decide di cielo, di stesso Maria di cielo, senza noi sul nostro pilato, nostro spesso presentarsi a Dio, secondo lo spazio del cielo, che essere la testa, la Padre, e Dio stesso, con gloria e unità dello Salvatore, suo Salvatore, il Spirito Santo, in loro nel vivificante, e voi escludiamo il cielo, che con Padre e Figlio siamo adorato e glorificato, come tutto sia stato glorificato. La Santa Cattolica Apostolica Iglesia, del battesimo e remissione dei peccati, ed rispetto alla risurrezione del mormore e del vita nel Dio secoli. Amen. Dominus vobiscum,
Et cum spiritu tău.
Oremus. Et profundis clamare et
Padre, nel gloria nostri, et popolo nostro, totus cortes Iisus. Habemus adorno,
Gracias seramos, Domino Deus,
Dignum et Justus,
Deum Justum est cum Sancta Nostri Sempre Turico Gratias Agem, Domine Sancte, Paterem Potens et Deus, Vigor Infinito Filio Tuo et Spiritus Sancto, Nostros Deus, Nostros Dominus, Dominus, in veritate persone, Serino Deus, Veritate Substantiae, cum in Tua Gloria Revelate te credimus, opere Filio Tuo, opere Spiritus Sancto, sine differentia discretione discernimus, ut in confessione vere sempiterno veritatis, et in personas proprietas, et in essentia unitas, et in majestate ritualitas, quando vantagini et pravantagini, che ovunque per serafim, qui non cessa clamare quotidia, una voce vincentes. per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen.
Nostro preceptis et Deus Monte, divina institutione formativa nos dice, Pater noster qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, et fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis odie, et debite nobis et debita nostra, sicut et nos et debitimus et debitibus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem,
Sed libera-nos in malo.
per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen.
Pax omnis sit semper nobis.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Agnus Sanctorum peccata miseris et nobis. Agnus Sanctorum peccata miseris et nobis. Agnus Sanctorum peccata miseris et nobis.
Conficio Dei potenti, Beata Maria Sempre Vergine, Beata Michele Arcangelo, Beata Baptiste, Sanctis Apostolus Petro Paolo, Omnibus Sanctis et Filii Pater, Verificat nimis citatione verbo povere, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Io prego Beata Maria Sempre Vergine, Beata Michele Arcangelo, Beata Baptiste, Sanctus Apostolus Petro Paolo, Omnes Sanctus et Filii Pater, orare pro me et Dominum nostrum.
Senator nuestro, omnipotencia, solicitis peccatis vestris, provocados a vita contra indulgencia en solución, Dio Lois, omnipotencia, misericordia, amén. Dominus vobiscum.
et cum spiritu tuo.
Oremus, Celis Divus ad Domine fasti benedictis et Christus, et semper perque veraciter vivimus et etamus, Dominum nostrum Iesu Christum. Filium tuum, qui te convita regnat in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen.
Oremus. Saciasti Domini familia tua, bonus et senos quesumus, semper interventione nos refiere, cuius omnia celebramus, perfectione santa et vita burna quesumus, Domini tuam perpetuus ecclesia, non potenti moderatione directa et incrementa, libertatis accipiet et in religiis integritate persista. Dominum nostrum Iesu Christus, Filium tuum, qui te cuvita regnat, in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen.
Dominus vobiscum,
Et cum spiritu
et
tuo.
temis est.
Deo gratias.
Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus.
Amen.
Dominus vobiscum,
Et cum spiritu tuo. Gloria Dei Domini. Deo gratias.
For the conversion of sinners, for the liberty and exaltation of the Holy Mother of the Church, through the same Christ our Lord.
Amen.
The Archangel, the
Benedictus, the Archangel,